Hello, I'm Donnell Roberts, and this is my presentation on equal rights. Speech 101. All men are created equally, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Does it sound familiar? Well, it should. I'm paraphrasing, but this is a portion of the opening statement from the United States Declaration of Independence. Civil and equal rights are the most laughable laws and policies that they could ever make. The idea that you can be protected by a law is a joke. That's what they were designed for. But the fact remains they are nothing more than morals that can be upheld in the court of law. In the land of the free, home of the brave, we are promised opportunity, equality, and freedom, among other things. But they are not guaranteed. To help ensure that we are all given the same treatment and opportunities, the governing body made laws and policies to protect the citizens. I can walk up to you right now and bash you over the head just because I don't like the color of your skin or the religion you practice. But that would be a crime because of those laws and policies. We are all created equally, but we are not all equal. And that is why people created civil rights, aka human rights, also known as equal rights. The word rights here has many definitions. But in this case, I'm referring to social, ethical, and legal rights. Rights are the principal ideas and freedoms, the pillars of our civilization. Our society and cultural fundamentals were built on the struggle to oppose oppression. From the inauguration of America's independence, these policies, rights, and laws are based in the spirit of what we have fought and claimed throughout our history. When you think of equal rights, what's the first thing that comes to mind? For me, the first thing that comes to my mind is the civil rights movement of the 60s, when men like John F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King pushed for equality among all races and then were assassinated for standing up against the status quo. For freedom, equal, and fair treatment, no matter what your demographic. Again, in the 70s and 80s, with the feminist movement finally getting equal rights for women, they gave women like my mother, a single parent, the opportunity to work for a more favorable wage and equal treatment in the work environment, as opposed to the early 1900s where they worked for next to nothing without benefits. Those never officially ratified, so we can take away whatever rights these women think they have and send them back to the kitchen. Jokes aside, women's rights are protected to this day. Now these policies set the precedent for modern times as we continue to make progressive advancements to our future. Other countries around the world are fighting to obtain the same freedoms we already had. Even here, they still fail us. Every day they are challenged and violated. A common occurrence of a person's rights being violated is racial profiling. Police have on several occasions stopped and held me off of claimed suspicion. Maybe it's just the color of my skin. Maybe it's just where I live. Now, racial profiling is a discrimination practiced by law enforcement, but not them alone, that targets individuals for suspicion of crime just off the basis of individuals' race, ethnicity, religion, or national origin. Although it is well known one of the hardest of any violations of a person's rights to prove. Have you heard of what happens in Arizona? I'm not talking about Vegas here. On April 23rd, 2010, Arizona Governor Jan Brewer signed SB 1070 into law. A law that will require police officers in Arizona to ask people for their papers based on some unidentified reasonable suspicion that they are in the country unlawfully, as reported by the ACLU. The Supreme Court upheld this law, and after that, a dozen more were proposed, and several were passed. This can be harmful to anyone that may seem like they are foreign born, i.e. African Americans, Latinos, Asian Americans. Anybody that might speak with an accent or don't speak clear English. Anyways, they want to send us all away instead of bringing the jobs back to the U.S. Great, isn't it? I would like to also note here the recent George Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin case, but like in most of these cases, there isn't enough information for me to say that it can or can't be racially profiled. Now, I would also like to touch on First Amendment rights. First Amendment violations are among the most common examples of injustices. Well, we all got them, but we may not know them. And a number of us let others infringe on them. Wow, that's smart of us, isn't it? Some of these are freedom of speech violations, employment discrimination, police brutality, and prison abuse. Thank God we live in America, right? Police misconduct and abuse, like in the Rodney King case, where Mr. King in this incident did commit a crime of speeding and driving under influence, leading the LAPD on, a chase for several miles. But the actions of the LAPD were inappropriate and excessive. The officers at the scene surrounded King and beat him with metal batons half to death. The officers justified their actions by claiming King was resisting arrest. Luckily for Mr. King, the incident was videotaped. Well, not really luckily, but the incident was videotaped, then broadcast worldwide. This resulted in the officers facing charges of assault with a deadly weapon and use of excessive force. A King case study reported the 4 officers were acquitted in their first trial by a mostly white jury, which led to subsequent race riots in LA and national outrage that resulted in a civil rights trial where 2 of the 4 officers were found guilty by the Supreme Court. Cases in which police, prison guards, and other law enforcement authorities have used excessive force or other tactics to violate victims' civil rights have increased 25% since 2001, 9/11. Over the previous years, the Department of Justice says federal records show that vast majority of police brutality cases referred by the investigators are not persecuted, as reported by Kevin Johnson of USA Today. Isn't it great to live here? I have heard and seen people mistreated or persecuted just because they're not like some other people. I'm sure this will continue to the end of time. It's only human nature to hate the things that we don't understand or that are different than us. Do you know your rights? Can you recognize when you or someone else's rights are being violated or you're being mistreated? What type of injustice that have you seen? In conclusion, I'm sure these injustices will continue, but we do have the right to live our own lives, so long as it does not break any laws or harm other people. So stand up for yourself, stand up for others, stand up for your rights. Rise for the American way. Fight the oppression. This has been my presentation on equal rights.